Namaste. My name is Parama Karuna, and this is the channel of the Jagannatha Vallabha Vedic Research Center. The word Satsang means good company, and also means the company of people who talk and live spiritual and religious values. So in this on this channel, I want to invite you to participate to online satsangs on the Zoom platform. We are having every Sunday. It's open to everyone. You'll find the link in the description. Participation is free. You can raise questions and issues we are going to discuss openly. So I hope I'll see you soon. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. The video that you're going to see now is the satsang that we had recently, and it's open discussion, no particular topic. We are going freely. Okay, Jai Jagannath. I'll see you soon. Today we may we can have an open discussion, so we can talk about anything and everything.
Okay.
Questions, suggestions, and everything. I had some email exchange with Rakeshji and his daughter Shivani about the previous meeting. So, in fact, there was some very good feedback.
Yeah, I saw your email.
Yeah. So, practically, what we are going to do, what I am going to do, basically, is produce a number of shorter video clips with more, proactive approach, so that people might be more encouraged. And although, in a sense, as I was mentioning, I think it can be stimulating for people being challenged.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not my job to challenge Hindus, otherwise they will get wrong ideas, So we have to be very careful. So that was some very good feedback. And today is Ekadashi, according to the calendar. Vaishnavas are observing Ekadashi on the 11th day of the moon. Also on day 14, I think, Akshaya Tritiya, the Chandan Yatra started. So also now, unfortunately, we have still a major problem in India due to the COVID. This morning I spoke with Raghunath in Puri. He's still there. He's sitting on the ashram still, the land is still there.
Yeah.
But lots of people are dying. And on top of everything today, they're expecting the cyclone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one.
Second cyclone. In Mumbai, they got it, 2 weeks ago? And on top of the COVID and the black fungus, now the white fungus, all the fungus.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of
trouble.
Lot of trouble. People dying. I mean, major pandemic as well as epidemic. So all put together. And then people have lost jobs and they have no source of income because
Definitely.
many states are still under lockdown. Some are extending the lockdown. Delhi is extending until 31st May. They might extend again. And I think Rajasthan has already extended up to 8 June. So because of that, there will be, I think especially the self-employed vendors and small street
Yeah,
hawkers and things like that.
Raghunath was telling me due to lockdown, they're expecting the cyclone. They cannot go and buy food. They cannot go and buy fuel for the generator.
Yeah.
It's very difficult now. So, but anyhow, I think this will also pass. Everything will eventually pass. I think we are anyway. I think the mortality has gone down today for the first or second day because we were running more than 4,000 deaths per day, and I think yesterday has been under 4,000, 3,000 something. Hopefully, it goes further
Let's
down.
hope. Let's hope.
Yeah.
The curve
And
is.
the new cases have come down very substantially. So because of the lockdowns, they should have been done long ago. But you know how the politics in India is. So
Unfortunately, lots of people have jumped on the opportunity to criticize the Kumbh Mela.
Yeah.
I think this was all very organized and planned. I mean, these are all a lot of Hindu-phobic propaganda. Now there's a toolkit come out on which there's a big controversy going on, which was supposedly a Congress internal document leaked somehow, in which it was specifically Kumbh was one of the agenda points that they should propagate that it is because of the Kumbh.
Yeah,
of course, because they
and
can
I've been
criticize.
writing again and again that if you look at there are two arguments which I've been writing on the Facebook and on other media like WhatsApp. These two arguments essentially are around the number of cases that is emanated from Kumbh are really minimal because the main affected state is Uttarakhand, where well, there were a lot of cases, but still compared to the national let's say numbers, it was negligible. There are on none of the days they have exceeded, I think, 11,000. The highest figure on one day was 10,000 something, which has come down now again because of the lockdowns. So that's one thing. And the second thing which I argued was that actually the reason for the strong second wave is that people don't wear masks. People are careless and they are not listening to the
they
appeals.
don't understand how it works.
No, they are not listening to the appeals, and and then some, I mean, really, I would say stupid fellow Shekhar Gupta, who claims to be a very old and very renowned journalist, and now little out of limelight, so frustrated and keeps writing something or the other which must pick up a controversy. And he wrote that. Well, this is all because of, first he was blaming Kumbh for this and then he was blaming everything else. And I said that, look, it's very simple. First is that people don't wear masks. And then he said that the awareness campaign has not been there. And this is government fault. And I said that if you make a phone call to someone, the first thing you hear is about Corona, please wear masks, don't go out if not necessary, blah, 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 keep distance and so on. You cannot make a phone call without hearing this whole tape. You can't switch on the TV in which, in any program, especially on the news side, I'm not talking of entertainment, on the news side and on the infotainment side, you won't switch on a program where within half an hour you will not hear this appeal at least twice. So, I mean, what more propaganda can you do?
Rakesh, I think that propaganda by itself is okay, but I think it should be more targeted.
Yes, you see,
they should explain to people.
It has been going on in a big way.
It's going on.
Lately, there's a lot because, I mean, the doctors are always every day on the channels, every day. DD News is showing for, I think there's a 1 or 1.5 hour program in the afternoon. There is a 1.5 hour program on TV9, and they are all calling, renowned doctors, and there are long debates, mostly in Hindi, so that people can understand, because TV is the only medium which you see everybody can understand, because
Yeah.
a lot of people can't read newspapers, and there
No,
is no access
exactly.
in villages. And villages, they can surely watch television. They do. So I don't see what more you can do, because if you are the whole day you are telling on TV to wear mask, and then the problem is more in the cities. The city dwellers, including educated people who call themselves educated people, who think that they have been to university and they are educated somehow, which is actually a joke. But
Rakeshji, don't you think there could be some, some details that are not covered, which are important? For example, if we just tell people to wear a mask, okay, they will wear the same mask for 7 days.
No, this is also being told to them. That
It's
don't
also
wear
being told.
it
Okay.
They're being
No, because wearing mask, if it is done in the wrong way, can be worse.
Even the maid who was coming to our home, and we paid her for 6 months without doing any work last year. Then she came back when we felt that the corona was, it was behind us. So we allowed her to come again for 1 or 1.5 months. Even she knew that it has to be washed every day. So she used to, as soon as she entered our house, she wore a new mask, which we used to keep for her. And then before she left our home, she would wash it and hang it outside to dry. So, everybody knows that.
She knows that, okay.
Everybody knows it. And it is being told the whole day. And the problem is, people just don't care. And even educated people don't care. And the markets are full. Every day television is showing pictures of sabzi mandis and, marketplaces where people are flouting the rules of, forget about distancing, because in India you can't have it. Everybody must accept it. They keep telling, but everybody knows it can't be done. But mask is possible. Basic hygiene is possible. Cleanliness is possible. Carrying a little small bottle of, let's say 100 ml bottle of sanitizer in your pocket is possible. Certain things are possible. They're not doing it.
Not taking seriously.
No, they just don't care. And now there is so much of bad propaganda done by a lot of opposition parties.
Oh,
that in the villages, people are not taking vaccine. They are saying that we will not get children if we get vaccine, or some are saying that we will die if we take vaccine. So in our building, that because when people write all sorts of nasty things, so I asked them that, okay, there were maybe 150,000, 2,000 sadhus there, right? And the big numbers you see is because they are congregating every day several times and everything gets counted, right? So, all right, let's say 500,000 sadhus, doesn't matter. You can put any number there. So I said, have you ever seen these sadhus anywhere in public after the How are they spreaders?
How they get there?
With whom are they coming in contact that they will spread in the cities?
Yeah.
So they come from somewhere, whether we don't know whether they died in their caves and they died under their, let's say, people trees, or if they died in the Himalayas or whatever. We don't know what happened. We haven't heard the reports. But at least they are not spreading in the towns. They are not spreaders.
Yeah. They're not the problem. They're not the problem.
Yeah. Spreaders are those who congregate in the cities for no matter what, whether it is the election rallies or whether it is marketplaces or whether it is sabzi mandis or whether it is mosques where they offer the namaz during Ramadan. There has been huge crowds in the mosque. It doesn't matter where they are, but if they are in big crowds, they are living in the cities and then they are going out into the cities and interacting with the rest of the population. They are the spreaders. Where are these sadhus to be seen? Nobody has ever seen any of them. So when I asked them, have you seen any of these sadhus anywhere in your city? They said, no. Then I said, how do they spread in your city? Come on.
Yeah.
Simple logic. Yeah. It's so simple to understand. But the blame must be placed on Kumbh and all an organized plan, and it's a propaganda machinery which is working overtime. So that's
Yeah.
how it is.
Well, because of course, anyone who's an opposition party to the party in power is going to blame the government for not closing the Kum. It's an obvious political opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You see,
of course they did it.
Interestingly, in India, these things come under Schedule 12 or 11, I don't remember. Health and police, law enforcement. These are both state subjects. The state is responsible for health issues and state is responsible for the enforcement of rules. If the rules have been made and fines have been already fixed for not wearing a mask, the state is responsible that they ensure that people wear masks. It is not the central government responsibility at all. But the propaganda says Modi.
Actually, exactly. Actually, yeah, this is another big problem, that the local government is confused with the central government, and
this is the propaganda. This is all organized. This is how it is organized. Now, the government does not have time, and they are, of course, as a responsible government, they cannot go on countering everybody's statements who make, whatever they may say in public. Government, it's not government job to keep on contesting everybody's statements. But the point is that people take those statements as gospel truth or something like that, and well, it becomes some kind of established fact. So it is.
Let's see whatever we can do to improve the situation. I think that as we were discussing, I think it would be very useful if we could give more solid Shastric knowledge to Hindus, because my work now is focused because now I'm in Italy. So I'm focusing more on Western people. But there is a lot of work with Indian Hindus. And sometimes it's also difficult because it's difficult to encourage people to actually go to verify directly on the Shastra. Swadhyaya, really, studying. So I don't know if you've seen my translation and commentary of Bhagavad Gita. It's maybe too big, probably too big, a bit too technical, maybe. So maybe I was thinking, now I started in Italian to make very short videos, like 5-10 minutes, with verses from the Prashnottara Ratnamalika, Adi Shankar text. And I think I am also going to start on the Bhagavad Gita. When I was on Facebook, I had started a study group on Bhagavad Gita, and I was posting verse by verse. And I think I came up with almost 1,000 members, Now my accounts on Facebook were blocked. So I wasn't able to go and take care of it. Maybe I can do it on YouTube. If there are any other suggestions. Now, this week I'll try to get better organized, because I'm also trying to raise some funds. And probably after the summer, someone invited me to move to France. I don't know. Let's see, because there I wouldn't have to pay rent and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Here, yeah, because when I was in England, there in the house of the Govind brothers, I was a guest, so I was not paying rent and expenditures. I was, investing some money for my own food. That was different. But here, I have to pay everything. So it's about 500 euros per month.
Yes.
Jeez. So I'm trying to organize some courses and stuff, especially in Italian. Maybe I can also organize in English if I'm still trying to understand how I can get some fund collection from outside Italy, because my PayPal account is like not working very well.
Mm.
So Annika is working with me here in she's the one who invited me to go to France, and we are planning to open a new PayPal account for the Vedic Research Center. So I can start a Sanskrit course, like Shimani was recommending, and very easy, simple Sanskrit course by studying Gita verses, because Gita is written in a very simple Sanskrit, so it's very easy. It's not, confusing.
Yeah, it is easy, relatively, yes.
It's very simple, very clear, very simple. So I think it would be nice to focus on that. So I will make a package. Let's see if anybody is interested. The problem is that we have to see, because there is already a lot of stuff on the net,
Yes.
on YouTube and this and that. What I can offer specifically, I think my impression is that I can make things a little more practical, because what is already there on YouTube, websites and activities in general tends to be a little too theoretical. As Rakeshji was telling, we have to move from theory to practice, because this is a big problem. When we get too much into theory, usually it's because we are not satisfied with practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a psychological mechanism of compensation.
Yes.
So when we cannot actually get some juice from life, we become very complicated, little dry, and that's not that's not very useful. So I'll try to work in that direction. I'll be very happy to have suggestions, requests, questions.
I'm also listening when I get time. Chinmay Mission is running a program which started on, I think, 17th of this month and continuing until 16th of June for 1 month.
Okay.
And they have 2 sessions, morning 7 o'clock and evening 7 o'clock. And both are scheduled for 1 hour each, but sometimes they exceed time if people have a lot of questions. I mean, it's kind of open-ended, but let's say the planned time, allotted time is 1 hour. It can exceed that. So there's no restriction, but usually around that. And
every day.
Speakers, every day. Yeah, and these are not only the monks of the mission, Chinmay mission, but there are other people. Like day before yesterday, there was a person who was speaking. He is also holding some position in the Chinmay mission, but actually his life work officially is that he was a professor in a university in the US, and he was teaching, I think, particle physics or something like that. So, but he is into Chinmay mission, he is into Vedanta in a big way and so on. So he was then giving a lecture on the Vedanta and science. On Vedanta and science, I think the best lecture I heard was from Swami Ranganathanand of the Ramakrishna mission. But what I want to point out now here is that when they go into too much of technicality, like this morning, there was a lady in the morning program, And this lady, I mean, it was so technical and so involved. And I mean, she was quoting slok after slok from, of course, our scriptures, and she was mainly talking about the Brahma Sutra or something. Now, we haven't read that, so it was completely beyond our comprehension. By contrast, many other lecturers have come and spoken in very simple language, explaining everything very easily. And I mean, for a person of my, let's say, lay abilities, it was easy to comprehend. And some of them make it even easier than that. So, I mean, even more, I mean, less involved people can also understand. That makes all the difference. That makes all the difference, because then more and more people come and they want to hear. And then, because, you know, in the morning I got so frustrated that I had to turn it off after some time, right after meeting, because I couldn't, it wasn't just going into my head, it was far beyond. So there was no point in just continuing sitting there doing nothing and just watching her face. So that's how it is. So as you rightly said, that making things simpler for common people to understand, we can increase the reach of our messages or our.
And also practical things.
Yes.
Like I see another idea is that I can present some of my postings on Quora, that I can put them in a video form. Because some questions are nice.
Yeah.
You know, some questions are nice.
Yeah. I've actually done a little bit of that. I made a couple of YouTube videos of posting.
Oh, yes. Okay. Good. Yeah. I'll copy.
Yeah. Tried a similar thing.
I'll follow the footsteps. Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay. So that's very nice. So in the let me see the the program that I had prepared last time was supposed to be about Akshaya Tritiya, about the tradition in Akshaya Tritiya that Hindus have of purchasing stuff, because Akshaya means eternal, permanent. So the idea is that if we buy something on this day, it will last forever. Of course, no material things can do that. Because as Krishna is saying in Gita, this material world is a temporary place. Dukkhalaya masasvatam means we lose everything anyway, no matter on which day we buy stuff. So the only thing that is eternal is...
Since you talked about, sorry, please finish, you complete.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, I think it was a good topic for Akshaya Tritiya if someone would listen to it. So, the only real permanent thing is progress on the path of Dharma and Vidya.
Yeah.
That is really going to be eternal. That's really going to be an eternal benefit we'll never lose. Krishna in Gita says that each little step is always there, never lost. So that was my idea, on the subject. Elaborating much on this idea can be complicated. We can mention, for example, if someone wants to buy something on this day, they can buy some books. So then read them because that's important. Because people who buy books and then they don't read them, not very useful.
Yeah, people like on Dhanteras, people buy gold.
Yeah.
Yes, they buy gold. And, in Bhagavata Purana, Devalaji, you remember when the Kali Purusha arrives and Maharaj Parikshit,
Yeah. Yeah. Tells him he
fights
can take
back.
up the abode in gold. Yeah.
Ah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Kali Purusha said, okay, you defeated me, but now I'm taking shelter in you. You need to protect me. Give me a place where I can go.
Yeah. And he gives him 4 places. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Place where gold is accumulated.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, bad idea. Bad idea to buy gold on Akshaya Tritiya.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this is a reflection that could be useful. Also, another thing that I wanted to put on the calendar, because I'm thinking about the Panjika, the actual calendar, the Panji.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have so many days, memorable days during the year. And these special days are meant to help us remember, train our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So every day we think. Problem is that most people tend to lose the faculty of thinking and being aware. So they go on autopilot. Every day is the same. But there are astrological days, there are spiritual, religious, popular days. Like, for example, I have been studying, researching considerably on the Gaudiya Vaishnava movement.
Mm-hmm.
Gaudiya Vaishnava, and in some measure also Riya Vaishnava, because Puri was a very special place for both these traditions, which are one tradition actually, because Vaishnavism, Vaishnava Bhakti is pretty much one movement.
Mm-hmm.
So just a few days ago, there was this day dedicated to Janava. Janava was let me see which day, because I had it on my calendar. Janava was the second wife of Nityananda, who was it was day 21, Friday, last Friday. And the figure of Janava is very interesting in the history, because it marks degradation of the Gaudiya Vaishnava movement, because there was some political struggle. So Janava was, diminished by politics. Krishnadasa Kaviraj and who is it? Who wrote the Bhashya? Baladeva Vidyabhushana. So until then, Janava was a major authority on the tradition of Chaitanya. And after that, with Krishnadasa Kaviraj and Baladeva Vidyabhushana, the tradition took a totally different direction. And it is very interesting to go and see, because still the Gaudiya movement has done a lot of huge service to Dharma and Vidya.
Yeah.
you know, objectively, we can see that if so many people know about Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata Purana, and Krishna and Dharma, you know, especially in the West, but also in India, it is, yeah, it is because of the work of Bhaktivedanta Swami and the work of his guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and his
Prabhupada and
and his father Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because at that time, at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the situation was, you know, Gaudiya, the Gaudiya movement was in a very bad shape.
yeah.
So they did a big work, but I think that now we can make the next step, because like practically almost all the great teachers in that period, in the Muslim dominated period and in the British Raj period, the great religious teachers had to do a lot of appeasement. So we see, for example, Bhaktivinoda was in his famous lecture on the Bhagavatam, was glorifying Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, all.
Yeah.
You know, I think he missed the marks, but you know, if he came a little bit later, he would have done that, because that was, you know, necessary to, you know, keep the ball rolling. You know, and I think also the Chinmaya mission, you know, Shivani was telling me that they are still very complimentary about Abrahamic religions. They still want to, you know, defend the fact that, oh yeah, all religions are good.
Right. Right.
You know, maybe not. You know,
Yeah,
because,
but you know, I did not know much about the Chinmay mission. I still don't know much about them because I've never been interested. And one of my co-brother-in-law, he is very much involved, and he sent me some links.
I see.
So I heard some lectures of Chinmayanand himself, but I mean, he did not have a way of making them interesting. So if you were, unless you were very deeply involved and, you know, you really wanted to stick with it, perhaps you would lose interest after a while. But I recently realized that they are also doing a lot of good work, And
definitely that. Okay. I think here, I think it's very useful to make a distinction, clarification. Now we have two different levels. One level is the good people. We can find good people and bad people everywhere.
yes,
You know, especially when we confuse religion with community, race, nationality, language, birth in general. So inevitably we will find the nice Muslims and the nice Catholic priests, the nice Orthodox priests, the nice whatever. We will find the nice communists.
sure,
We will find, because we are human beings.
yes,
Why, when we talk about Sanatana Dharma, we are not talking about the Vedic knowledge. It's different. Which is the first meeting that we had. We were discussing about the difference between Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, and, you know, Vedic knowledge, etc. Sanatana Dharma is eternal and universal. What is the advantage of Hinduism in relationship with Sanatana Dharma. The advantage is the knowledge. Because Hinduism is very scientific about Sanatana Dharma, which you will not find in other religions.
No.
And whatever the other religions got in that way of knowledge, scientific knowledge, they got from Hinduism in ancient times.
Yeah.
In ancient times. You heard about the Hellenistic civilization. Now, what is Hellenistic civilization? When Alexander the great,
The great.
the great, so-called great, allegedly great, you know, when he went to India after conquering whatever he could conquer, before that. Then he went to India and he didn't actually conquer India.
No.
I don't know.
He got stuck a little bit, and but it's not that as many Eurocentric historians suggest that his army got the Delhi belly and they had to go back home.
Yeah.
Is that was not the point. The point, they were defeated. Sorry. They were actually defeated. But because they were very impressed with the Indian civilization, then Alexander went back home with a load of books and with a big team of scholars who started the famous Library of Alexandria. Then Alexander died because he died, but he left his successor, Ptolemy. He left two main successors. One was Ptolemy and one was Seleucus. They were both generals in Alexander's army. So they divided, each one took a big piece of the empire conquered by Alexander. So Seleucus took the Middle East and he started the dynasty of Seleucids. And Ptolemy took the East with the main center in Alexandria of Egypt.
Egypt, yes.
And what Ptolemy did, not only he started to study inside the library and everything, but he started to ask everyone to write whatever they knew.
General baat ho gayi.
Namaste.
Namaste.
This is
Namaste,
Leela.
Didi.
Namaste.
Okay. So there are these two main historians in Alexandria, Manetho and Berossus. Manetho was asked to write all the story of all the knowledge about Egypt, and Berossus was asked to write all the story, all the knowledge from Chaldea, which is Mesopotamia. But they obviously had a lot of stuff from India as well, because until that time, until the Hellenistic period, the idea of religion in the West lacked some basic points, basic concepts. Not only the idea of religion, but also mathematics. Lots of science. In Alexandria, they started to calculate, to use the Arab numbers. They started to imagine the concept of infinite. They didn't have the idea of zero and infinite. They didn't have the idea that God was transcendental. They didn't have the idea that God is eternal, omniscient, omnipresent, and and one. They didn't have that idea.
No.
No matter how deep you dig, you are not going to find it. In Hebraism, it is not there. Jesus didn't have the idea of God that we think that Christians have. Jesus, if you go and see, there are lots of scholars that came out, in the last decades, like this Bart Ehrman, which is like, wow, you hear his lectures, you're just like, whoa. In Italy, we have another guy, very funny guy, nice. His name is Mauro Biglino, who was the official translator for the Catholic Church. He translated all the Bibles and everything. He was, he worked at, he had a good job. Then what happened? He was so enthusiastic about the study of the Bible, then he actually went to study Hebrew. And he went to study with the rabbis, with the teachers of Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of stopped being translator for the Vatican. And he educated, and he's, wow. Okay, he has also some other strange ideas, but I think that his ideas are not bad. Unfortunately, a couple of times he, here and there, he tries to also commentate on Vedic knowledge, of which he doesn't know anything. But when he speaks about the Bible, that's good. So he is explaining very clearly that every time we find in the Bible the definition of God, like the eternal, omnipotent, all-powerful, it's a bad translation. Because when the Bible writes omnipotent, it actually, the original said El Shaddai. El Shaddai means the Lord of the desert. What does that to do with omnipotency? Not much. So there is, and the same thing, this Bart Ehrman, yeah, I think Ehrman, did the same thing. He was an evangelist, preacher, and very successful, and very dedicated and everything. And he went to study Greek, not only Latin, but Greek, because the Bible was written in Greek. The Bible, in the Masoretic, the Septuaginta version, was actually written in Alexandria of Egypt, under the Library of Alexandria. It was written in Greek because the Ptolemies were Greek. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. So this nice Arma guy, he went on. Okay, Greek is not sufficient. Let's study Hebrew, and that's where he found a lot of stuff. So we have two different levels. I was saying before. We have good people who feel in their heart that God is omnipresent, omniscient, and good, compassionate, and the father of all beings and whatever. But these ideas are there in the Gita, mm-hmm. Not in the Bible, not in the Quran. There is not one verse that actually the original text says that God is eternal. In fact, the Bible says that gods die. There is one verse specifically that speaks to the Elohim, the gods, mm-hmm. and says, you will also die like human beings. Like, okay. You know. So, and this is one big difference. Another huge difference, which is why I am so dedicated in trying to help people to see the difference between Abrahamic and non-Abrahamic ideologies, is that Mr. Abraham
Oh, yeah.
was, which, you know, now now the Jewish Israeli scholars today, they recognize that Abraham is an invented character. There is absolutely zero proof that he ever existed.
Right.
And they say very, very likely it was totally invented. In fact, the first Bible, you know, the Judaic religion was put together around 500 BC. After the Maccabees, when the Maccabees revolted against the Seleucid kingdom, after the destruction of the temple, after desecration of the temple, then they found some ancient books. Oh, look at what we found. And then they started to write the Bible. And still, they were writing the Bible in the times of Jesus. Who were the scribes? The scribes were not people who were writing mails for, you know, for the illiterate. They were writing the Bible, you know. And that's when the Bible was actually written, for a purpose, for a specific purpose. So what happened is that they wanted to create a nation. They wanted to create the nation of Israel. So they invented the exile in Egypt, the slavery in Egypt, the exile in Babylonia. Yeah, of course, you know, at some point, Nebuchadnezzar dispersed the tribes of Hebrews that were in the area. But there was no kingdom, you know, and they dispersed the tribes. They didn't put them in exile or slavery. Actually, the Jews in Babylonia made a lot of money. They were, you know, extremely wealthy and prosperous and everything. So the only thing is that they decided, now we've got, you know, strong enough, we are going back and we're going to make our own nation. So they invented the Bible. And they invented Abraham. So Abraham, if we go and see the Genesis, in the Bible, Abraham meets Yahweh. Yahweh, Jehovah, you know, it's difficult to know because the pronunciation of Hebrew is very complicated. Yeah. Anyway, so this guy, the Genesis Bible says that Yahweh called Abraham from his land where they were pagans. So before Abraham, Yahweh created human beings and then everybody totally forgot about him for thousands of years. Okay, so now Yahweh wakes up, calls Abraham and says, okay, Abraham, you just leave everything, leave your family, leave your gods, leave everything, come with me, make a pact with me, an alliance, a covenant with me, and I will give you the dominion over the whole land. They were not thinking about the planet because they were round planet. They didn't know there was, you know, a bigger planet. But they said, over everything. Yahweh said, told Abraham, I will give you control and dominion and ownership over everything. All the peoples, all the nations will be your slaves. Oh, these are Abrahamic religions. So now each one of the three Abrahamic brothers believes that he is the one who is the true heir of Abraham. So they need to fight each other to the death to establish who is the real heir of Abraham. And in the meantime, they also have to kill everybody else. So we have, you heard about the Noahide laws?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've ever heard about them. Noah, Rakeshji, you heard about the Noahide laws?
No.
Noah?
No,
Deva?
no, yes, no other ark. one.
Noah, you got. Devashraya, you know about the
Yeah.
Noahide laws?
Of course, yeah.
Noah or Noahide laws? The laws of Noah?
No, Noè in Italian, you mean?
No, no, no. Le leggi di Noè.
Yeah, of course, Noè in Italian. Yeah, yeah.
Le leggi.
I never heard, but I know who is Noè.
Oh, but 3 times is the magic. Ask 3 times and you'll make sure. No. The Noahide laws, the laws of Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh gave laws to Noah, which are different from the laws that, not so different, but, you know, that Yahweh gave to Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Noah, Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses. You know, this is the timeline. So Noah comes. Ritvik Ji, we have Jai Jagannath connected to audio. Very good. So, welcome. Okay. So what happens is that, you know, if we want to address the problem of Christian conversions in India, we need to understand what we're talking about. Because otherwise, if we don't have the proper knowledge, we cannot really. Yeah, actually, yeah, Rakeshji, you can open your mic and you can also talk, because the chat, Abraham was, yeah. yeah, I heard that. Yes, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that too. Can you read the chat? Can you read the chat? Yeah.
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 This just occurred to me some months back, and I was,
Yeah.
I think I was talking to someone, and I said that to me it looks like Abraham, maybe not a man, but a lot of people who were following a certain, let's say, leadership or kind of philosophy, which was against, because they must have heard of the Hindu scriptures or Vedic scriptures and knew something about
Okay,
Brahman.
now just to summarize quickly for Ritvik Ji, because we already discussed the preliminary points to this. The idea is that Abraham has now been recognized by Israeli scholars that probably never existed. He was probably created, invented around 500 BC to support the idea of an Israel state, nation. So, okay. Now, the point is, the details are not so important. Details are not so important. What is important is that, well, as we were saying before, the present religions around the world, and also some of their branches that were destroyed during the Middle Ages, were actually very much indebted to Vedic knowledge, to the original Hindu knowledge, because they got a lot of ideas that were not there in the previous tradition. So this idea of the logos, for example, from the Gospel of John, which is like, oh, so mystical, oh, so advanced. It's the same level of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, okay. Maybe not. Anyway, so this idea of the logos, where it is coming from, not from the Bible. The logos is Sabda Brahman. If we want to talk about plagiarism, that's the real one. That's the real one. The poor Newton didn't know he got an apple on his head, and observed that, oh, they fall down. Why they fall down? But this idea of the logos doesn't come from an apple. The idea that God is infinite, omniscient, eternal, omnipresent, transcendental. God is the sound. This you don't, just come across because you find an apple on the ground. And these concepts were not there in the ancient Egyptians, in ancient Mesopotamians, in ancient Greeks, in ancient Romans. It were not there. Simply were not there. This is why the famous Eumerus, that Devala probably heard about.
Mm-hmm.
No, oh, this is big. Because already in the classical period in Greece, people had started even to doubt that gods existed. Mm-hmm. So this Eumerus, decided that probably you heard about that.
Yeah. Euhemerus, yes.
Eumerus. Yes. So he decided that the gods were actually, big people of the past, that, the memory of these big people have become deified. The divinization of these great kings and stuff. And this is the same idea that these ancient alien astronauts and whatever, they still carry on. I wrote something about this in my book, Gods or Aliens, ? Because, this is a serious point. And unfortunately, because many Hindus are so, enthusiastic about the idea of giving some historical validation to the Hindu stories,
right.
They fall in the trap.
Mm-hmm.
They fall in the trap. And, they don't understand that in this way, they're not supporting Hinduism. They're actually endangering it.
Yeah.
Because it becomes trivialized.
Mm-hmm.
That people don't actually take it seriously anymore. So this is an important point that I wanted to mention about Abraham and company. So we were saying that according to the timeline, there was Adam and Eve, Noah after the flood, then Moses, who got the famous commandments, the law, Mosaic law. And Abraham, made a pact with Yahweh. Now, if we actually read the Bible, the problem is that people don't actually go and verify.
Mm-hmm.
They don't read. They don't go and read. They don't go and verify. They get sentimental ideas coming from second-hand or third-hand or, layered hands, like in occultism. Now, you'll find, for example, the Theosophians, the Theosophy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are so messed up. So with the Kabbalah and this and that, it's all the same. It's not all the same. It's not all the same. Come on, it's not all the same. of course, the mystic groups of that we can still find, like Gnostics, and they took something from the Vedic knowledge. As we were saying before, they got a lot of ideas. Vedic teachers, and especially yoga teachers, were going around, a lot. They're going around a lot. They were called gymnosophists. Gymnosophists means the philosophers who do a lot of gymnastics. So, which is, right. Yeah, sounds like yoga, And at the same time, also, when Ashoka sent around lots of Buddhist preachers, at that time of Ashoka, Buddhism was still very similar to Hinduism.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was a lot of knowledge that filtered down into Hellenism. And we come back to Alexandria of Egypt and Hellenism. So we can find in Abrahamic religions, it's not originally from those cultures. It was absorbed from the East. Now, when they speak of East, I don't think they were talking about China. But, because China absorbed from India. China itself. Buddhism started in India, didn't start in China. Then, of course, most Buddhists moved out of India when the Muslims came, because it was not, actually Buddhists had an even harder time than Hindus when the Muslims came.
Yeah.
Because Hindus, at least, they were fighting back. The Buddhists were saying, no, everything is, illusion, nirvana. So it was very easy to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So some ran away, some became Shaolin monks. They say, well, maybe we should learn something, maybe, who knows, for the future. But history is incredible, because if we actually go and dig into history and we go and verify the facts, we'll find lots of good material without having to go for speculations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard all sorts of speculations of Hindus trying to defend Hinduism, and I'm telling you, they're doing more damage than benefit.
So,
Yes.
I've been trying to help, especially there was, for a few months, I was cooperating with the Hindu Education Foundation in the USA, on a project like understanding Christianity.
Mm.
Now they're too busy with the caste problem.
Right.
So they dropped. I don't know what happened. It looks like they dropped the project because they are really in trouble with the caste controversy with Cisco and which is also good, because it's they are forced, Hindus in the USA, in California, they're forced to go and understand the difference between Varna and caste.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing.
Yeah.
Also in India, someone should tell someone.
Yes.
Some people I know from Orissa, especially.
Yeah. I met the leaders of the Hindu American Foundation a few years ago back on the monastery in Kauai. The Shaiva Siddhanta monastery there. I met them there.
Yes.
And we were talking about this. Yeah, we were talking about that there, about the education program for classrooms in California they were working on, about this caste thing. And it was a big controversy, even a few years ago.
But that was about the school books.
Yes, at that time it was about talking about school books.
Yeah, I remember what is his name? Anyway, at that time, it was about the school books.
Yes.
But now, in the last few months, there was a big court case with Cisco and the Housing Department of California and the California state.
Mm-hmm.
California state launched an attack on Hindus because of this discrimination based on caste. So there was a big attack on Hinduism, saying that Hinduism is all about caste. It's about discrimination. It's like slavery. Because this is a narrative of the Aryan invasion theory.
Yeah.
And these, unfortunately, many people in India bought that.
Yeah.
You know, and they're still, you know, building on that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but in any case, you know, before that, we were doing this work about understanding Christianity, and I was, you know, I still have all the notes and, you know, whatever work I did, I keep a copy always. And I was giving all the quotes from the Bible, you know, and they were just like, what? The Bible is saying that?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the Bible.
Yeah. I mean, you know, then they got a little scared because should we say that? Yeah. Come on, you know, how can you say, how can you be afraid that people will say that you are attacking Christianity if you're just quoting the verses of the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Quran is a little different because the Quran, they have lots of different versions. So the Quran, the people, non-Muslims are not supposed to have the Quran. So you cannot really verify so much. But for the Christians, it's so easy, especially in the United States. They're mostly Protestant, you know, evangelists, and they go by the Bible. They all, you know, they put Bibles everywhere, give Bibles to everyone. You know, they throw Bibles, you know, at people, even if they don't want them. You know? So catch one, catch a Bible. And, you know, they're throwing it at you. Okay, thank you. You know, I did that. In India, there was the brothers of something. They were giving Bibles, you know, people coming from the airplane. Yes. Okay, sure, thanks. Very nice. Welcome. Yes, good book. Then you go and check chapter and verse and you expose them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the official Bible. It's not something I write.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my opinion. Hey, chapter and verse, check. And that's so easy. You know, we don't need to speculate. Like there was one guy who was saying that, you know, the Pope sent Columbus to America to make money for the Crusades. What? Crusades had finished 200 years before Columbus went to America. You know what? The Pope sent Columbus. They didn't even know. So, you know, instead of being imaginative, you know, we can get a lot of solid, verifiable points, you know. So this is, you know, regarding our good Abraham and company, and Moses, and, you know, all the other, you know, very interesting guys. Again, this doesn't mean that we will not find Christians or Muslims or Jews who are good people.
Of course.
You know, because, you know, we are human beings. In our conscience, we have Paramatma.
Exactly.
Paramatma is inside Antaryami. He's always there talking to us. telling what is good and what is not good. What are the eternal principles of Dharma? Satyam, Dayam, Saucham, Tapas, Swadhyaya. You know, these are the principles of Dharma. Every human being has this code, these commandments, you know, inscribed in the heart. It's in the spiritual DNA. So we don't, you know, any good human being will understand these things. Now, the problem is that some ideologies teach people to go against the conscience because God said, do something else, do the opposite. This is why Abrahamic people become worse person when they are fundamentalists and orthodox, because they really correctly, orthodox means correct, correct practice, correct following, orthodoxy. Fundamentalist means actually following the fundamental things, the fundamentals of any ideology. So when people actually follow in an orthodox manner the fundamentals of Abrahamic religions, they become worse people. You know?
Yeah.
At the opposite, if Hindus actually followed in the orthodox manner the fundamentals of actual Hinduism, Vedic culture, they become much better people. They don't. Yes. So they what to say, appropriate the definition of orthodox and fundamentalist to themselves in a wrong manner. And then this gives a lot of leverage to anti-Hindus. Like, for example, you know, when people say that some Orthodox fundamentalist Hindus I know, they think that, you know, caste is Vedic, hereditary untouchability is the real Orthodox fundamentalist Hinduism. These are the worst enemies of Dharma.
Yeah.
Because they they substantiate.
Yes.
They confirm the disaster.
Exactly.
The disaster. Because if we go and see, no Shastra says that. So what is the orthodoxy? What are the fundamentals? You know, when we speak about Advaita, the fundamentalism of Advaita means we are all Brahman. This is a real fundamental. If we were real Advaita fundamentalists, you know, we do what Bhagavad Gita says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Shuni Chaiva Shvapakicha, Pandita Sama Darshina. This is fundamentalism. You agree with me? You have objections?
I agree.
You agree? Thank you.
Yeah.
Rakeshji.
I have found on the Shastras, it's true in the Sruti. I've never found anything about like locked in hereditary, the jati system or untouchability. But what would you comment on? I've certainly found things like it in translations of some of the Dharma Shastras. Yeah. Mostly Western academic translations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because these translations were done by people who wanted to justify slavery based on race, on birth. And the origin of racism, I'm sorry to say, is coming from the British. Muslims also were not, you know, were not so, you know, subtle, you know. But the British are really, really racist.
Maybe also Romans, all the Romans.
No. The Romans were not racist at all. Romans didn't care a fig for race. They had all sorts of emperors from all the corners of the empire.
Invaders, maybe. Okay.
Huh?
Invaders.
What invaders?
Invasori, invaders.
Who's invaders?
Romans. All the Romans, of course. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but sorry, I don't.
I misunderstood. It's all right. It's all right.
Okay, we can discuss in Italian later on.
Yeah.
Offline. Yeah, because in fact, I mean, Romans. Okay. The Roman civilization.
Yeah.
Was about state control. Nothing else.
Okay.
You could be black, yellow, green with blue stripes. They didn't care. But you had to respect the government and represent the government. Okay. This was the only thing that the Romans cared for. The Romans didn't care for, monotheism in the sense monolatry. They didn't care about gods. Rome, at the peak of the empire, had temples to every possible god and goddess in the history of mankind. They didn't care. No problem. The only problem was when some religion came out against the government. Then, sorry, you have to go. That it was not just about the Christians or the Jews. The Stoics.
Yeah.
The Stoics were seriously persecuted, at some point because the emperor, found that they were criticizing the government. So I think it was Nero who gave sent the advice to Seneca, I think it was, kill yourself, because otherwise, we think about it, but better you kill yourself. Make it nice and clean and quiet. Why the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and dispersed the Jews? Because the Jews were fixated with this idea of the Messiah that would win, would defeat in war all the enemies of Israel and establish Israel as the major political power in the world. This is the reason why the Romans, really? Really? You're the Messiah? Okay, let's clean up this place. And that's the same with the Christians. Why the persecutions? The biggest persecutions were from Domitian, right? You heard about Domitian? Why he persecuted the Christians? You know why? Because they torched his palace twice. He got really, annoyed. Because the Christians were saying, Jesus is our king. Christ is our king, the Messiah, our king, and now he's coming back, the second coming of Jesus. That's, every 20 years someone is saying, okay, Jesus is coming for the last 2,000 years, But, in the beginning, Jesus himself in the gospel says, in this generation I will come back.
Yeah. That the people who were living then would see him come back. That's explicit in the Bible. Yeah.
Exactly, in the gospel.
Yep.
So these early Christians were convinced that to make Jesus come, they had to purify the world, burn everything. Augustine, the famous Augustine, the father of the church, he boasts about burning the synagogues. Yeah, in writing, published. Published stuff. Not, his personal diary nobody knows about. Published. The poor Nero didn't burn Rome. You know, it's actually, it was the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Nero has been accused of burning Rome to blame the Christians. You know, like, what? So these kind of things, I think we can have some education, you know, to Hindus to understand better the difference, because, you know, the problem is not with Christians or Muslims. The problem is with the actual fundamentals, the Shastra, their scriptures, you know, their religious authorities. So if we do some cleanup and clean up our own religious authorities in Hinduism, and we help people to actually study our Shastra, our scriptures, guys, 1 month we can take the world. 1 month. I'll tell you, 1 month. I'm trying.
Mataji, can we beg leave now?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm sorry we took 1 hour and a half again. We did it again. I did it again.
It was very, very interesting, but it's time for us to go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you can, please come again next Sunday.
I'll try. I think I will.
If you can. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful because I'm learning so many things.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, I'm open. I'm open. Okay.
Namaste.
Jai Jagannath. Namaste. Namaste.
Jai Jagannath, namaste.
Namaste.
Virabhadra. Okay. In the description of this video, you will find all the links to get in touch with our research center and with me personally. Anyway, if you want, you can send your email address to our email box. So we'll put you on our mailing list. Thank you, and we'll see you next time with the next Satsang.